All right, the What Happened to Music podcast. John Demko has a wonderful tale for us today. John, tell us all about it.
All right, so this is about, we're going to be talking about a link I saw from the LeonardoGuitarResearch.com webpage. And the overall theme is basically we hear absolutely with our eyes, or certainly our eyes,
Okay.
affect the sound and the overall product. But so they did a what seems like a pretty good study where they took a number of classical guitars, and the idea is: do you need tropical woods, so like rosewoods, things from the rainforest, from the backs and sides? Most classical guitarists will agree that the backs and sides matter very minimally with the sound. That's why when you see a lot of people talking, "Oh, this has Brazilian rosewood," it's and I played guitars with Brazilian rosewood backs and sides that were much older. That wood is not, it's very pretty. It's not making a much better guitar. Actually, make sure to ask me about that at the end.
All right.
But basically what they did was, so they had 10 classical guitars made of non-tropical woods, backs and sides. 5 classical guitars made from tropical woods, right?
Okay.
Again, still all backs and sides. If you're not a classical guitarist, it's, when I say it was a Torres model, that's basically your standard classical guitar. So if you go and you buy a classical guitar, that's a sort of a Torres FE19 model. All the guitars are made of the same high quality standard, right? So that wasn't the issue, and they were all made of European spruce for the tops.
Okay.
So again, this is all backs and sides. This isn't about the tops because obviously the top seems to be where the difference is really made. And then, of course, the bracings and things like that. Again, same bracing patterns, all that's the same. The only thing that was different was the backs and sides. So what ended up happening, at least from what I can gather from this link, and we'll post it. I mean, it's a lot of information. If you're into statistics, it's pretty good.
Data.
But it's better than a typical like thumbs up, thumbs down. But they did a blind study and a non-blind study.
Okay.
Where basically they realized when they did the non-blind study and people were able to see the backs, they were able to say, oh, well, that one sounds better, rather than something like beech for the beechwood for the back.
And then with the non-blind study,
the non-blind study, it was the sounds were even, like pretty much 50-50 on preference.
Okay.
So yeah, all of a sudden when you have guitars with the backs made of walnut or oak or alder, I think people are just thinking that they're going to be an inferior wood.
Well, I mean, there's definitely something to be said for aesthetics with instruments, because people who don't know what they're looking for when they're instrument shopping, they'll say like, "Oh, that looks really nice. I'm going to buy that." Even with different types of saxophones specifically, like I'll look at different finishes and be like, "Oh, well, that type of finish is going to have this sound." So I think there's something to be said for like, I'm expecting this type of sound, so my brain's going to fill in some of that.
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing, even with Brazilian rosewood. If you get a guitar that's made today of Brazilian rosewood back and sides, I'm going to just keep saying back and sides, you're going to say, obviously the guitar is going to be quality because Brazilian rosewood is expensive.
Yeah.
It's tough to get, and you're not going to have, a $100 Yamaha that's going to use Brazilian rosewood back and sides. But I was once in the Raleigh-Durham area, and we went to a sort of a vintage guitar shop, and I was like really hoping I was going to hit the Holy Grail, because it was a classical guitar from the 60s of an unknown maker, and I don't care who made the guitar.
Yeah.
And it was advertised as having Brazilian rosewood back and sides. And you could see it, like, had that nice sort of spider webbing on the back, and they were selling it for $400, and I'm like, this could be the find of the century. And I played the guitar, and it played like a $300-400 guitar. I mean, they basically knew what they had. However, people tend to get enamored with some of these woods acting like they have some sort of mythical qualities that are going to just raise the guitar up, especially for the back and sides. I know there was see if I can find it, a Craigslist ad where someone was advertising their, wasn't a vintage Martin, but it was a sort of a vintage reproduction.
Okay.
And, instead of even, I don't even think he mentioned what the regular backs and sides were, but he was like, oh, it's got Brazilian rosewood headstock plate.
They type Brazilian rosewood in all caps.
Yes, I'm actually.
They have little emoji fireworks around it.
Didn't have that.
Okay.
But no, I mean it's because it's just all of a sudden you see that, and that's like a big way on selling it. But no, I thought it was a really good study. But at the end of the day, everyone really your brain kind of fills in what you see with what you hear. I mean, it's even why every band director will say to the percussionists, make sure when you do a cymbal hit that you're holding up the cymbals so people can see, or when you're doing sleigh bell or the whip, that the audience can see it.
Or even in drumline and trombone, let's make sure we're all moving in the same direction at the same time. So I'm just thinking when we went to Rowan, Dr. John Passon telling us how he had to write an arrangement one time for the Navy band where he wrote it and it was great, and they said that sounds really good, but can you get the trombones to play together? And he's like, they are. And what they actually wanted was for all the trombones to have their slides in the same position at the same time. So he really just had to dumb down his parts and be like, you need to be in this position for this note right now.
I remember. That's a great story. So yeah, I think it's, I mean, this is just another sort of research article that says, all of a sudden when you take away the ability to see the instrument, things kind of even themselves out.
Right.
And that's not to say, I mean, if these were different tops, if these were different quality tops or different bracings, then you would be able to hear a significant difference. But there's just so much that you end up hearing. I mean, it's hey, that BC Rich must be a really good guitar because, wow, what a cool shape. That's got to sound real metal, even though...
Gotta get those curves.
Gotta get those. Well, I clearly, you know nothing about BC Rich as a company.
I do not.
It's like the pointiest guitar company ever.
Well...
Anyway, let us know your thoughts.
Do you think this podcast would be better if you couldn't see us? Please leave a comment below. I'm inviting a lot right there.
Pretty much.